So let's talk next about the Ark Encounter. For those who don't know what that is, it's a museum that Answers in Genesis basically says is like a replica, or at least one side of it is a replica of what the Ark might have looked like. And when you go inside, and it tells you the creation myth and the or the 6,000-year-old creationist myth, not the modern apologetics version. And you see dinosaurs playing with humans, and you get to see what the inside might have been like. And there's exhibits on how the Ark might have handled the poop of the animals. So, Jim, what could you possibly see wrong with that museum?
Where do I begin?
Yeah.
When we first found out about this, we were a little bit late to the game, where there was many of atheist bloggers writing about the problems of the Ark Encounter and YouTubers. But in the mainstream media, it was still a positive story, how this was a $100 million project and it was going to bring all this business and it was going to be great. And overall, it was positive. So we came up with an idea of how do we change the narrative? So we dropped a banner on their opening day that said Genocide and Incest Park. And it grabbed the world's attention. And when I say world, I mean the world. We had the New York Times, Miami Herald, Washington Post. I was doing Fox and Friends Live. We had 6 documentary film crews there. I was talking to Vice News. It's in the Bill Nye the Science Guy film that came out this year. It'll be in We Believe in Dinosaurs, which will come out next year. I was doing interviews from New Zealand, France, Germany, the UK, all over the world. Even the day after, the Christian Post, the Christian Daily, the Christian World News all reported of the problems of the Ark. And let me run down just a few of those for you for the people that don't know.
Absolutely.
They received up to $18 million in state tax funds, while remaining their discriminatory hiring practices of not hiring LGBT, gay people, atheists, Catholics can't work there. If you're single, you have to sign a vow of chastity saying you won't have sex till you're married. The county gave them over 100 acres for $1. They gave them over $100,000 in cash. All employees in the area, not just at the Ark, in the surrounding area, have to pay 2% of their paychecks, go back to pay back the $65 million junk bond loan. 75%. I'm not done. 75% of the 75% of the real estate tax doesn't go towards the county or the city. It goes to pay back the $65 million junk bond loan. They've widened the highways. They've widened the off ramps. They sent a letter to the state saying that they are a for-profit business. They can receive state money. They sent a letter to the city saying they're a church. They don't have to pay taxes. Shall I continue? I can keep going.
Here in a moment, but holy, and I want to jump in with just this little tidbit that is something I became aware of recently. The parking lots are also empty. This attraction sucks. Nobody's going. I shouldn't say nobody, but they're not filling up. But anyway, go ahead.
So here's the one thing where I think that I kind of want to bring attention to, and when I travel the country, I think that people don't understand the Ark Encounter and the finances of the way atheists have covered this issue. So let me ask you a question. Do you know how much money they generated, just the Ark Encounter, in 2017?
Based on what I've heard about attendance, it can't be actually paying back the state. I mean, it's got to be, I don't know the exact number, but
it's in the millions if you had a guess.
$10 million.
Okay. $69 million.
Here, I'll retake it so that doesn't look so shitty. $100 million.
No, here's the thing. I like your $10 million answer because this is what most people say.
Okay.
It's $69 million. They are generating money hand over fist. It is not in financial trouble like people reported. It is doing financially very well. They had 37 million in ticket sales, 30 million in merchandise and other donations. What's happening is, though, the city and county gave away everything to get them there. They are on the verge of bankruptcy. So the city and county are not benefiting from this. It is bleeding them dry. They're on the verge of bankruptcy, but the Ark Encounter itself is generating a ton of money. Now, they had high expenses. They had about 65 million expenses, which is really, really high. And if they operate at that expense level, they will be in trouble. But they keep adding additions. It's brand new. I don't imagine they'll operate at that kind of level. Once they get it completed. They only did phase 1. So the conception that most atheists are reporting that this thing's going bankrupt or in trouble is just not true.
It's actually doing fine. And that's all from ticket sales, or do they have other do they have other financial outlets just besides from selling tickets? Now, I did hear at least that the ticket price is pretty dang high for something trying to spread the gospel.
It's around $40. It's around $40. Ticket sales were 37 million, and other revenue was 30 million, like 32 million.
$40 to get in, and there's not even a roller coaster. What a joke.
Now, the one thing is the Creation Museum itself had double-digit decreases every year in attendance.
Okay.
Until the Ark Encounter opened, and now the Ark Encounter has, I don't know what the creationist numbers are, but the Creation Museum itself has increased its numbers by a lot because you can buy like one ticket and get into both places for a couple dollars more. So their attendance has increased greatly.
So you said it was 37 million attendees last year, or ticket sales?
No, ticket sales.
Is that the dollar amount or the individual number of tickets sold?
Now, here's where I think, and this is where the confusion and where atheists report it. Ken Ham, when he opened this park, said, we're going to do 2.5 million people, upwards of 3. He was bragging about 2.5 million people. So what happened is atheists start calling him out on this, saying there's not that many people. You're not generating over 2 million people. So then he started claiming he was getting 1 million people because they did a safety assessment fee of 50 cents per ticket. Okay. So we're able to do the math at 50 cents, how many people are going through. And it's less than 1 million people. It's around 800,000 or somewhere, 900,000, which is nowhere close to the 2.5 million that he promised.
Right.
And then the next year he said, we'll do over 2 million. We're going to double it. So Ken Ham is clearly lying, and atheists are calling him out because his estimates are so far off. And all the money and all the rewards that the state and city gave him were based on this $2 million number that he would generate. So atheists are calling him out on attendance numbers. But even then, it's not 1 million people, but 800,000. Now, kids are less than $40, but you can do the math at $40 and $20 tickets. It comes to $37 million. It's still a shit ton of money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that breaks my heart because I thought it was going to go downhill in another year or two, but I guess not. Yeah, you took it. You took my soul and you crushed it.
It's going to be here for a long time.
My non-existent soul.
Yeah.
As will Ken Ham, it seems, which... What a mess. So
let me address one other thing. If you don't mind.
Yeah. No,
I want to address the criticism we got for protesting the Ark. And we thought when we did this, it was a one-time event, right? But afterwards, the further we got away from that protest, the press started turning more and more positive again based on the 1-year anniversary. So we protested again. We protested opening weekend on the anniversary every year, and we turned back the press negative. And people said, Jim, you're drawing attention to this thing. Just let it die. Just let it go. And what people don't understand is that this was a world news story before we came into the picture. What we did was we didn't bring them attention. We stole their press and turned it negative. And so we absolutely should bring protests. It's already a national story. We shouldn't let it go unchallenged.
Absolutely.
We're not bringing them press.
Absolutely. And I do think we were just having this conversation Sunday. I do think there are times where there is a local fringe group doing something that it can be damaging to expose them to larger platforms. I talked about this with Flat Earth. I'm not convinced that YouTubers like me aren't why Flat Earthers became a movement, because in making fun of them, we gave them exposure. But no, I absolutely agree with what you're talking about. I had heard about the Ark Encounter before, and like you were saying, it was all positive. It was all this money was going to be brought into the state. They also talked about, and so correct me if this is wrong, my impression is that the local businesses haven't been seeing an influx of business.
No, not at all. They've actually had multiple businesses go bankrupt and close shop. Even the mayor's business, which was around in his family for so long and generations, went out of business.
Yeah. Because at $40 a ticket, they don't have money to spend in the fucking town. Sorry. But yeah, no, that was an interesting thing too, that he was supposedly going to bring in all this business, and it hasn't. There's a bunch of closed and for lease signs up in the windows.
And just for fun, we adopted the highway in front of the Creation Museum and Ark, so we clean that every quarter as well, just as a sign of environmentally friendly and protest. So that's always a lot of fun.
That is awesome. Did you see a lot of fallout on using powerful words like incest and genocide, as though you saying those phrases were offensive and not the fact that they're literally teaching those in there?
Yeah, so the one thing is, when I did most of the interviews on this, the genocide and incest what's grabbed everybody's attention. But our talking points remain equality, discrimination, separation of religion, government, that rarely got brought up. But on the occasion when it did, like I did some other radio interviews, and they said, Jim, we find that word, genocide's offensive. And I said, then give me a better word to describe what happens, and I'll use it. Yeah. And to this day, not even religious people have not. And we've talked to religious people that go, it's not about genocide, incest. It's about, oh, yeah. Oh, I never thought of it that way. And one other criticism which we had is, what if a child drives by and they see that? And that made me pause for a second. I did have to think about this for all about 60 seconds. Yeah. And I said, you know what? If my billboard causes a parent to have an uncomfortable conversation with their child about the Bible, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm not impressed by the concept of what if a child sees it, and yet we're letting kids going into churches where you might have a man mounted to a Roman torture device, sometimes with blood painted on, and then being told the stories of the incest and genocide, and being told about this wonderful book that includes the ways in which they could be sold as slaves if they're young girls.
It's not my story. I'm just calling it what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for the record, in kindergarten, maybe it was first grade, but I remember in a public school, going into choir class and learning the song, Who Built the Ark? Noah, Noah. Yeah. Yeah. It's not as though they're not telling the story with their spin on it already.
And I'll give you the one last thing is, some people said, well, you're just appealing to your base with this protest. And I was like, damn right. Because here's the thing. The people that come out to this every year, they come from all over the country, Washington, Oklahoma, Canada, all over the country. The people that do this we have 3 regional directors. We have multiple state directors, multiple assistant directors, countless affiliates. I lost track. And these are the people that are now running my local group, the Tri-State Freethinkers, as vice president and on board, because they came to this. So those are the ones running the community service projects, the educational meetings. We need those firebrand activists because those are the ones that are most likely running our local groups. Right. And so that's absolutely who it was designed for to come out. And you should come out. I invite everybody. July 7th next year, 2019 on a Sunday. We'll make a whole weekend of it, but it is one of the best, most unique protests that you'll ever come to.
This will be in Kentucky again?
In Kentucky, right in front of the Ark Encounter, at the actual Ark Encounter.
I will do my best. We already spoke about how before, or for the other segment, how I enjoy the cold much more than the heat. But I will do my best to be in Kentucky on July 7th. You son of a bitch. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, that sounds great. That sounds awesome. Is it somewhat like a rally style protest where you have speakers, or is it picket style? What's the...
It's a combination of everything. So we kind of go offsite. Because Ken Ham bought up all the ground, it was very hard to protest. So the on and off ramp, the actual on and off ramp of 75, there, how they have those grass triangles between on and off ramps. Yeah. We actually take that over. We got permission from the state. We set up dozen or so tents from the Secular Coalition for America, American Atheists, Freedom from Religion. Anybody that wants to set up a tent, local or national, can come. We do live podcasts there. We have merchandise to sell. We have information. And we do that for about an hour where everybody can gather and meet people. And then we do about an hour of speakers. We have some of the top speakers from around the country come speak about this event. And then we march 2 by 2 all the way up to the Ark. We did it same sex the first year. And then we have our signs. Then we actually go right in front of the Ark with the Genocide and Incest Park banner, which we protest, depending on the heat, anywhere from a half hour to an hour, depending on the heat in July. And then we march 2 by 2 back to our protest site where we feed everybody for free. We have pizza, drinks. We bring another round of speakers, and then we wrap up the day. So it's about a 4-hour event. And it's unlike any protest because we try to do all the things with chants, rallies, speeches. Yeah. We do it all. And it's absolutely amazing and just a great time.
That sounds awesome. I'll do my best to be there. Channel content. Sorry, I'm a whore. But no, it absolutely does sound amazing. And I encourage anybody and any of my followers who have the resources to get out there to go there.
And one of my favorite quotes came from Planned Parenthood sponsored it the last couple of years where they officially sponsored it. And the state representative said, you're defunding women's health care in Kentucky, but you're spending money on this boat. And the quote she gave is, when equality is under attack, atheists show up.
Yeah.
And we have
Yeah.
turned that quote from the Ark Encounter into t-shirt signs. This has become kind of our grassroots activism motto of atheists must show up and support anytime religion is being used to discriminate. And so I absolutely love the quote.
Yeah.
And we'll send those signs. We will send that sign when equality is under attack, the atheists show up, to any group that is going to protest or march for something or against something, absolutely for free, to any group in the country that's marching for atheists.
That's amazing. How I'll skip forward then to that question and then come back to what is, for people who are doing local protests, local movements, or even say want to open a local chapter of something atheist related, what's the best way? Is there a website or a resource from American Atheists they should check out first?
Yeah, if you go to atheist.org and then you can go to staff and click on my name and my contact information is there. You shoot me an email. American Atheist is dedicated to helping grassroots groups and grassroots activism like never before.
Sure.
We will provide resources, toolkits, education, training. I will personally go out there if need be to help groups with some of the three greatest challenges they face. And when I talk to groups around the country, they face three things. One, it's one or two people doing all the things. They need help with volunteers. Two, lack of diversity. And three, lack of money. And we can show them how to do these things. And the groups that are doing the best follow our ACEs program. That stands for Activism, Community, Education, Social. They're firing on all four cylinders. We're trying to take groups from being just a Facebook or meetup group, while those are good tools, to be a truly functional nonprofit that is engaged within their community and a force to be reckoned with and well respected in their community. And in doing so, you normalize atheism, and it's a game changer.
Are there local chapters of American Atheists, or is it just the national organization?
We do affiliates. So we have over 200 affiliates. You can be affiliated with any other organizations as well, but all you have to do is say, hey, Jim, I want to be an affiliate. I send you a link. It's a one-page fill out. It's pretty quick. Cool. Our goal is to take those affiliates and turn them into actual local partners where we're communicating. And, we have state directors in every state. Not in every state. We're trying to put in every state, but we want assistant directors in every city. Meaning I want to put a director, embed it within your group in your city that has access to we'll give them access to our Google Drive with all of our activism toolkits. We'll send them all the signs they need, buttons, stickers, t-shirts. We truly want to give them resources so that we have a connection with these groups and we know what the groups need. We're not here to dictate, to tell the groups what they have to do. We're just here to offer them a cafeteria plan of what they may need. They pick and choose, and then we'll help train them on overcoming the challenges that they face and they need the most.